Hi everyone. A couple of you guys missed class. It was a very important class, as every class is. I'm going to make this a little video here to kind of summarize what we talked about. Obviously, I'm not going to do everything that I did in class. In class, we build it up a lot more, but hopefully you get the idea. Now this is going to turn you off. What we talked about was primary production of different parts of the ocean. And to do that, we made graphs. Maybe stop for a minute and make this graph. Okay, I told you I was going to turn you off. Primary production? What is that? What we're really talking about is algae. How much algae is in the ocean? And does the algae change kind of throughout the year? Somewhere on your notes, write this. Sunlight plus poop equals algae. Algae is so important. It starts the food chain for the whole ocean. Sunlight plus poop equals algae. Now, the first draft that we did was of a temperate sea. And the Puget Sound is an example of a temperate sea. So what we did is we grabbed the green pen for algae. And we thought about how much algae was in the Puget Sound on January 1st. Was there just a little bit? Was there some? Was there quite a bit? Was there hella? Yeah, the answer is there's just a little bit of algae. The reason why there's just a little bit of algae is there's just a little bit of sunlight. On January 1st, the sun came up at 8:30 and it went down at 4:17 p.m. So there weren't that many hours of sunlight. And then we thought about what happened between January 1st and January 14th. And what we said is that, the hours of sunlight are increasing by 2 minutes a day, so the algae is going to go up a little bit. The same thing happens in February. In February, the hours of sunlight are going to be increasing by 2 minutes a day. It's going to be going up. Now in March, the earth is tilting more towards the sun. And the sun that we get here in the Puget Sound is going to become more intense. So then what happens at the end of February, beginning of March? The algae just starts taking off. Taking off through April. Taking off through May. And then a weird thing happens in May. Sunlight plus poop equals algae. We're talking about how does the Puget Sound get the poop from the bottom up to the top? We said it's winter upwelling. When the top layer of water gets colder than the bottom, and it sinks all the way down to the bottom. Today is February 8th. I just rode my scooter in today. It was cold. So winter upwelling happened last night. But it's going to stop happening. I don't know. Maybe it'll stop happening next week. So in May, since winter upwelling has not happened in a couple months, the Puget Sound is going to be running out of poop. So then what happens to the algae population is it starts to go down. Now in June and July and August, they're the most sunny days in the year, and we got some beautiful sunny long days. But because there's no poop, there's very little algae in the Puget Sound, even in September. Now a weird thing happens at the end of September. The end of September, you get some of those cold nights. And because there's cold nights, the poop's going to come back. And if the poop is back, that means the algae's going to come back. So then it's going to start going up. Now in October, what's going on in October? It's getting cold, but the sun's going to start going away. So that means the algae goes away. And the same as November and December. Then, what we did is we said it'd be a great question on a test. Number one, you have to explain why is there so little algae on January 1st? And the answer is there's just not much sunlight. Then number two, why is it increasing right here? Well, it's increasing because the hours of sunlight are increasing by 2 minutes a day. Then, number 3, why does it crash and when does it crash? Well, it crashes in sometime during May because winter upwelling has not happened in a long time and the Puget Sound ran out of poop. Number 4, why is there so little algae in the Puget Sound in the summer? Well, no poop. Yes, there's a lot of sun, but there's no poop. Number 5, why does it go up in September? Well, you get those cold September nights. That means winter upwelling is going to happen. Poop. There's still sun, so there's going to be algae. Does it make a little bit of sense? Now, we went even further into this. Baby salmon. When do the baby salmon enter the Puget Sound? You know, mom and dad, they went up a river, they laid their eggs, the eggs hatched, and then the babies were going down the river, and eventually they're going to go into the Puget Sound. Well, when do they go in the Puget Sound? Yes, they go in the Puget Sound right here. They enter the Puget Sound at the beginning of March. And the reason is that there's all this algae. That's when all the algae is going to be. Now, the baby salmon are not going to be eating the algae, but the baby salmon are going to be eating the little critters that are eating the algae. That's what the baby salmon eat. And then as they eat them, the baby salmon are going to get bigger. And because they're bigger and stronger, that means they can swim and go like eat bigger things. And they can also swim away from their predators. So this is when the baby salmon come into Puget Sound. Oh man. Now we're going even more in depth into it. How would this graph change if we had a really mild winter? I mean, a really mild winter. It never got that cold in December and January and February. How would it change? What we did is we took the purple pen and we said, well, I mean, it would be the same in January. I mean, everything would be the same. I mean, everything would be the same. But because it was a very mild winter, that means there wasn't much winter upwelling. The reason why the graph went down in May is because it ran out of poop. Well, if there's less poop, that means that it's going to run out of poop earlier. So maybe the graph is going to start to crash in like April, and all this would be the same. Do you see the problem? Yes, the baby salmon. What's going to happen to the baby salmon? Yeah, there's not going to be enough food for them. So that year, the baby salmon are not going to grow that big. That means they won't be able to swim away from their predators. There's going to be a bad survival rate. It's one job of a marine biologist. Right now, they're going out in the Puget Sound and they're doing a whole bunch of plankton samples. And they're counting how much algae is in the water. And if there's not that much algae, that means there's going to be a bad return of this the salmon. The baby salmon are not going to survive. So they're going to make notes in their notebook. So the baby salmon are going to go out in the ocean, and 3 years later, they're going to come back. So they're going to look back at their notes going, oh, 3 years ago, there wasn't much algae. That means there's not going to be a lot of an adult salmon coming back. So they're going to make like fishing regulations and things like that to say, don't catch that many salmon. Let's do the reverse. Let's say it's been a super cold winter, a long cold winter. Yes, it would change. It would change like this. Like, give me a good color, give me a good color, give me a good color. It would be the exact same thing. But if it's a really cold, it won't crash in May. It'll keep going down to like June, and then it will crash. So that means there's going to be a lot of food for the baby salmon. And there's going to be a huge survival rate of the baby salmon. And then 3 years later, they can anticipate a lot of adult salmon coming back. I got to end my video. I'll pick it up on the next one.